Hello, welcome to this video where you will see me gain more elo. I'm about to hit Legends almost. I'm about to 2900 and I used teams inspired by Argentinian top battlers. I want to spotlight the Argentinians. They have like an Independence Day upcoming this Tuesday, so I want to make that my theme. And here you see some of these battlers. All of them went to the Buenos Aires special event and they did quite well there as well. The teams that I will be using are the ones you see there from Real Dante, Mantine, Steelix, and Quagsire, and the team from Andy Cope that you see right here. Goodra, Gligar, and Typhlosion. I obviously already have a lot of Typhlosion content the past week, but I want to try it out in Grey League Remix. It seemed like a pretty cool team. It's a little bit weak to Carbink. That's the one Pokemon you kind of don't want to run into. I would also argue that Mantine is not great, but you do have two Pokemon with electric type coverage. So in that regard, though, I do think the team is versatile besides against one Pokemon. I also want to try some Ultra League, by the way, but I think my queue times are too long to try that. Let's go and game number 1. Goodra into Shadow Gligar lead. This is generally positive. Now, I have a really good Goodra here, but it's just about, like, good enough, or bad enough, if you wanted to call it like that, that if my opponent runs an attack-weighted Gligar, I have the break points, which means I can Dragon Breath down into 2 shields. My opponent swaps into a double, which makes me think they want to bait out something that's like a counter user, right? Like a Poliwrath. Poliwrath's the main fighter in this meta, but I don't have one of those. So I'm going to go into Gligar, can take 2 Body Slam, and I want to preserve my Goodra for their own Gligar. I kind of needed to swap out, but it can still get a little bit nasty. Unfortunately, they barely hang on there. Area is not the strongest attack. But now their Pokemon, their Gligar gets more farm, which is kind of tough. If they shield here, I'm actually in big trouble. Because then they will get 2 attacks on my Goodra, and I wouldn't like that. Let's see, they already have about 9 wing attacks. They actually let that go, which is huge. Because I'm using my good Gligar here, you don't get any Lantern, Lickitung, and Medicham breakpoints here, so I didn't see the need for running a good the attack-weighted Gligar here. Let's see, Pelipper comes in. This is so fine. Here's the thing. If you run Typhlosion against Mantine, you pace equally fast to the areas. And you have Thunder Punch, of course. The problem is Mantine is too bulky to actually go down to a Thunder Punch. It does, I think, like 60% damage. And then the Incinerates resisted don't do enough. Not from regular Typhlosion, at least. The graphics says Shadow Typhlosion, but I don't have a Shadow one, so I'm using regular. Pelipper, on the other hand, fragile. So a Thunder Punch will likely, very likely, knock out at this point. I just have to make sure that they don't catch. But I'm also pretty sure that the timer is not up yet. The timer is 60 seconds after you switch. And I believe we're about 50 seconds in at this point. You can count that basically by the charge attacks, because the charge attack takes 10 seconds. I incinerate down and win the first battle. Game number 2 is against yours truly. Rise to Occasion is the other guy who makes the videos as well about these graphs. And he's running the Goodra lead. Swapping into Shadow Steelix threw me off a little bit, so you see me swapping pretty late here. If he goes Crunch here, which I look back on his stream later, and he has that, he would outpace me and actually force me to shield. But he goes for the Psychic Fang here, which I find an interesting play from Rice. Really comes down to what's in the back. At this point, I was not expecting another Steel-type Pokemon. And the reason why is because he would be crazy weak to, like, a Poliwrath. However, Steelix with Psychic Fang can still, like, put the Poliwrath very low if that was to answer the Steelix. He gets a little bit more energy on the Goodra, swapping my own again. And that's actually very fine because all the energy from Goodra is just bad on another Dragon type. We happen to get Charge Attack Purity here. And now I have to make a call. I don't want to swap immediately because I can get a Charge Attack off on something else maybe. But you'll see that I did have to switch immediately because in the back is the Shadow and Polium. And because I'm 1 wing attack behind, I cannot win this game anymore. He needs 18 Steel Wing to get to 3 Hydro Cannon. I need 2 Area Ace Baits, which is 10 wing attacks, and then a Dig, which is 17 wing attack in total. But he's 1 Steel Wing ahead. That means that we will get Charge Attack Purity on the last attack if I were to get the bait here. If I was on even energy, I actually would not have baited here. That was my plan at least, because like Rice probably knows that I love to bait. But here it doesn't matter. Rice knows as well. He's counting very properly. As you can see here, Charge Attack Purity. I don't think this game was... I had to swap, a simultaneous swap, but I didn't know what was in the back. And in fact, if I swap immediately into his Goodra, he might also turn Aqua Tail. I still would have to shield. So, very tough matchup there. Well played, Rice. Game number 3, Goodra into Sableye. This is an okay lead. I wouldn't say it's the best. The reason why is because the Aqua Tail from Goodra is not exactly threatening. I would say Dragonair as a pretty favorable match here, at least with shields up, because Dragon Breaths add up so much. But Goodra is not that kind of Pokemon. I'm gonna go for the Aqua Tail right here. We'll get Charge Attack Purity on the next attack, which I think I won't even throw. I believe it's IV dependent as well who wins this, and I have a good Goodra, so I probably don't win it anyway. They both have about 119 attack. Sableye can go. They both can go higher, of course. I'm going to go again Incinerate Advantage, which is very nice. I was hoping for 2, but only get 1. In the back is Carbink. Yeah, what do I do now? I think they got 1 turn lag there as well, which is going to make absolutely 0 difference. I go for the Blast Burn, which actually does more than I would think resisted, but there's no play here. How to win that? Unfortunate. Goodra into Magnezone. We are 1-2 right now. This is a decent lead, though. In comes Poliwrath Shadow, which is great. I don't need switch advantage here, so I will not go down 2 shields, which this Poliwrath might force. Shadow Poliwrath does not win the 1 shields. Only regular can do that on like 1 HP. Although I must say, again, I'm running a very good Gligar here, so I might do a little bit less damage than my attack weighted one with arrays. But as long as I get either 2 shields or anything, there's not much that can really break Goodra and Typhlosion. It's really just Carbink. But Carbink with a Magnezone lead, no way. There's absolutely no way. I let the Ice Wind go through. Hopefully I can get a farm down before he gets to an Icy Wind. It is Shadow Poliwrath, which is more fragile than a non-Shadow, of course. And I actually forget to tap there. Luckily they come in with, the Goodra comes in. I get the perfect farm down because they go down with the Ice Wind. In the back is the Mandibuzz, and this should be very much game over. I'm going to go for the Thunder Punch here. And yeah, I'm just like getting this lower, but that Magnezone in the back just has no play at all. Goodra is just bulky enough to take a Dark Pulse from here as well, so I'm just going to have him expend the energy before I swap out. This thing's already so low right now. I will no-shield this. Sweep with Typhlosion. I felt like Typhlosion has a good place in this meta. It's just like Carbink and Quagsire that you avoid. Basically everything else is playing into, which is pretty cool. I sneak a full Incinerate here. Very unfortunate timing for my opponent. I shield whatever this is. Even a Mirror Shield will be fine. Come out, win an attack for the next Pokemon, and that's game over. Game number 5, we have Goodra into Deoxys defense. This could be anything in the back. Usually Deoxys teams try to bait out a fighting type Pokemon in the back with, you know, usually that's like Lickitung, and then there's like a Bastiodon on a Carbink. Could even be a Wigglytuff or something in the back. In comes Alolan Ninetales. We already know what's in the back, right? It's going to be 2 of these. So I need to get shields down, but I do something silly there. I think, honestly, I should have threw my Thunder Punch there. So I preserve a lot of HP, and preserving HP means that I get a lot of Incinerate damage on the Deoxys defense as well. Deoxys defense is extremely pressured at this point because I have a lot of energy, and I'm going to get a lot of energy off here. So I'm going to go for the next Blast Burn. This might... Nah, this doesn't knock Deoxys defense out just yet, but I think the next Incinerate will. And I actually think I don't get to another attack here. So I throw the Thunder Punch to get some chip damage here. At this point, I just want to get him in like Aqua Tail range because I have one stored on the Goodra. And yeah, the next Incinerate will. I actually would have gone to the Blast Burn there, unfortunately. But and we get the 1 turn swap in lag, so I won't even be able to throw my Charge Attack. Goodra obviously wins Charge Attack Purity there against Deoxys. I also get denied another attack here because I don't sneak a Wing Attack. So yes, I was upset at this point. In the back is a Shadow Gramble. Luckily, it's only that Charmer. Well, honestly, if it was another Charmer, I probably would have done it with 2 arrays. And then Deoxys hits like nothing with fast attacks. So Dig knocks out, and then I can just go for my arrays. My opponent probably forgot I had a shield here, but should know that this is pointless. This is a waste of both our time, and now I will win this game against Double Charm. Yeah, I mean, Typhlosion. If you hate Charmers, Typhlosion might be your Pokemon. So I went 3-2 with this team. I actually felt like it was really good. It's just like Empoleon and Carbink both core break it, kind of. And I ran in 2 of those. Those were two of my losses. This is the second team that we have from Real Dante. Mantine, Shadow Steelix, Shadow Quagsire. You can really go a lot of ways with Steelix. I've seen a Thunderfang Steelix as well. You can have Crunch. You can have Breaking Swipe. But he recommends Psychic Fangs, Earthquake. So that's what we're going to play with. First game, Mantine into Dragonite. Mantine had a really good impression on me so far in this meta. Most Dragonite teams I've seen paired with Venusaur though, which is kind of rough. I'm going to go for the arrays straight away. Otherwise they throw before me, which I don't like. The arrays already does so much here. Look at this. Dragonite is just so fragile. At this point I feel pretty fine. Gonna try to catch, but unsuccessfully. I sneak a Dragon Tail, which is nice. I expect Steelix counters in the back, so I let this go. They must have like a Poliwrath in the back, but in comes Toxapex. And now I feel like I made the worst decision of my life not shooting Steelix. I'm gonna go for Psychic Fang now. This is actually a horrible matchup for Toxapex. But because I let that superpower go, they can knock me out with 1 Brine. So they're actually pretty fine here. They must have like a Quagsire, another Pokemon weak to Quagsire in the back. But since Dragonite's so low, my Mantine also feels very free. I could probably even Mudshot down that Dragonite because it threw a superpower while the Dragon Tail did not land yet. So that means that a Dragon Tail landed while it already was debuffed. I'm going to shield that Brine just in case something with fast attack pressure in the back. Stone Edge will knock out this Toxapex, and in the back is the Dragonite again. They come back in with that, and in the back is Shadow Steelix. So yeah, with Thunderfang, by the way, I just mentioned it. This team basically is supposed to bait out the what's called the Quagsire, but my opponent didn't. They should have swapped Toxapex at some point, or the Steelix, and they didn't. So my Quagsire was very free. Game number 2, Mantine into Clodsire. This is not as good as you think it is, especially in the Zero Shields. I think Clodsire can just win the Zero Shield. I'm not too sure actually. I think with Poison Sting, 2 Stone Edge should do enough, but I believe it does a little bit less than 50%. It might also be exactly 50%, and 2 Stone Edge will knock out. If you have Water Pulse, this is actually a little bit better as the Mantine. Water Pulse can be better into most ground types. They go for Sludge Bomb, so that probably means they have Sludge Bomb Earthquake, because Sludge Bomb Stone Edge is a ridiculous moveset. You'll be entirely walled by other ground type Pokemon. My opponent is ridiculous. They do run Stone Edge. Who does that? Literally. Like, you're just entirely walled by Steelix. Well, yeah, you are. And at Quagsire, like, why would you do that? They come in with the regular Gligar. I probably could have reached an Ice Beam here if I think about it. I need to lift, let's see. Maybe not, but that's okay. Let's see. I come in with the Quagsire here. I don't think they have another Pokemon that's weak to Quagsire in the back, right? Because the lead already was ridiculously bad against it. And now this Gligar. Gligar is okay, but it's also not super great, right? So I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail here. And actually shield that. They actually start shielding this. I'm like, there's no way you're triple weak to Quagsire. That would be crazy. Quagsire is one of the safest Pokemon in this meta. There's no reason to go triple weak to that. And they keep baiting as well. They have the dig there. They keep throwing arrows. I actually think I could get 2-on-1, but I don't want to risk it. So I'm going to go to Steelix here. And I know, I say it in my head, baiters, bait. He's been baiting like 3 times in a row now. But no, I didn't want to risk it. He went for the arrows there. Gonna go for a brighter screen and then shield this dig. He actually is not single moved. And now it comes down to what's in the back. There's no way whatever's in the back is also good against Steelix. It's a Diggersby. Sometimes it makes no sense, right? Gobelic sometimes just makes no sense. This is actually best case scenario for me because he didn't sneak. Plus now I can throw an Earthquake on this debuff Diggersby. But Diggersby is crazy bulky. So this is not gonna knock out yet, which is kind of unfortunate. I'm gonna try and catch. I think this was a catch, I'm not too sure. They have quick attack, by the way, so they don't charge as fast, and it's resisted on Steelix, so that's nice. This makes me feel like they have like Hyper Beam, maybe. I have to knock out before they reach a Scorching Scent, I think. The fact they run a regular Gligar means that their dig on the Steelix won't do as much, so I actually feel very safe here. I don't think dig should knock me out yet. They get the damage registration error. They should not get this dig off. They should faint with it, but they got it off anyway because the game's so inconsistent. But, like I said, Shadow Steelix just hangs on because it's a regular Gligar. Game 3, Mantine into Gligar. So this is a good lead. And I also have another team on the graph that's like triple weak to Mantine. But Shadow Gligar with 2 shields in the lead is not that bad into Mantine. I can say this because I've played it a lot myself. This only gets bad if you get baited as the Gligar. But it also gets bad for the Mantine if 2 Ice Beams are being shielded here. And they do shield the first Ice Beam. So yeah, that comes a little bit tricky now. I probably could have reached another attack here, but I want to keep my Mantine still a bit healthy. They could swap out if I let that Aries go, which I didn't want. They swap in Steelix trying to catch an attack. I won't allow that. So going into the Quagsire immediately. If I can manage this perfectly, then I can come out with an Aqua Tail against the Gligar as well. We're in the one-shield scenario right now. Let's see. I let this attack go. Probably a Psychic Fang. It's a Crunch, which does a little bit more damage, and it's quite unfortunate. The debuff now could allow this Steelix to win Switch Advantage now. Terrible all over the place. So, they shield it up, and now I get the damage registration error. I should not have gone this Aqua Tail off, I should have fainted with it. But I get lucky this time. And again, my opponent's so weak to Quagsire, to water in general. It's crazy, actually. I get denied another wing attack here, which is annoying, because I think I even had an Ice Beam loaded, or I was close to. Yeah, I could have thrown my Ice Beam and just knocked out that thing. In the back is Magnezone. My opponent's still trying. I also get denied here again. But there's not a lot of play for them. I have that, as long as they don't get energy on their Gligar, there's no play for them here. So I'm just gonna throw one of these and then just get a ton of energy, because Magnezone has about no play into my Steelix. They go for another Mirror Shot here. I actually get like 0 debuffs, so that's just perfect as well. Yeah, this is just also an interesting team, right? Because they're so weak to Quagsire again. I have a Quagsire and they just lose. Even though that Steelix didn't do that terrible into it, they still wanted to force switch and everything. I must say it may have been a little bit of a different battle if I didn't get the damage registration error, I'll admit. Regardless. Going for the Ice Beam, knocking out the Gligar, and then wing attacking down the Magnezone. You love to see it. Game number 4, 3-0 right now. Mantine into Galvantula, terrible. But we have 2 answers, so let's see. Gonna go into my Quagsire, which I feel like is the safest switch that I have, which is a huge mistake. If I baited out the Poliwrath with my Steelix, this may have been much better, because then I have super effective Psychic Fang to fight back with. That Stone still hurts, but he just throws a Charge Stick and I faint here. So the counter add up so much here. Poliwrath is so good in this matchup. I get a very clean farm down here, though, with that Mantine. I can take 2 Ice Wind if I need to, come out with a lot of energy. Problem is, my energy will be debuffed, so it won't threaten that Galvantula as much. I'm gonna go for the Icy Wind. Does some more damage there. And they might get another one. I don't really care. They don't get there. That's great. My timer's up. They go in Galvantula. They have 2 Volt Switch now. They're 1 of a Discharge. In the back is a Shadow Quagsire. We're getting entirely hard counted here, unfortunately. And I think my best play here is to go for the Earthquake. But I didn't. I went for Psychic Fang. Which, I mean, I guess I needed this as well, right? Because if I throw the Psychic Fang early, my Dragon Tails will start up to ramp up early as well. And now the previous ones didn't. But if I can land like an unshielded Earthquake, because Earthquake is kind of spicy in this meta, I've also seen Heavy Slam Steelix. Like, they can run anything here. Psychic Fang's led through. Can I farm down? Barely not. Can barely not farm down, unfortunately. They go for the Aqua, putting me extremely low, and now I need to take a shield from this Galvantula, but that's not happening. They have a Discharge right now. If I need them to throw energy. If I swap right now, they just get Charge Attack purely on the next one, and I lose anyway, so there's no play. I think it's as close as I could make it, maybe. Perhaps if I threw my Ice Beam earlier, I could have had a chance here, but I don't know, man. Tough game. And the final battle of the set, Mantine into Superior. This is a superior lead for me. So funny. Like, I'm probably the first one to make that. I like to throw areas immediately here. Ice Beam obviously does more and can probably leave them into farm down range, but they might try to catch because they're staying in. So I'm just going to throw out areas immediately to make sure this is chipped, because I want to get this low for my Steelix, especially for my Quagsire. They land the Frenzy, unfortunate. I'm going to make sure they don't catch here. They don't. Going for the Aerial Ace. They must have something like another Mud Pokemon, maybe a Poliwrath in the back, since they stay in and let it go even. Let's see what's in the back. In the back is their Steelix. I will swap out immediately. It's Iron Tail. I think my opponent forgot to TM that. Interesting though, because they stayed into that bad lead there, and they don't have 2 bad answers into the Mantine. Maybe they play with Iron Tail intentionally, trying to bait out Tapu Fini. I don't know. Earthquake is shielded correctly. Gonna go for another Psychic Fang. I just need to get like this low, and then my Quagsire can just get rid of that Steelix. So it's fine. They let that go as well. Steelix is slow with Iron Tail, so my opponent decides to quit. And that's a 4-1 set. So those were the battles that I had. I'm about 2900 elo now. I really liked some of these teams. I think Mantine especially makes a big impact here. Typhlosion feels very neutral into most teams. So yeah, make sure you check out the graph. You can find this on my X profile as well. And Rise to Occasion made a video on the graph as well. I hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one.